Welcome back to Real Res Talk. My name is Sam and joined by Aaron and Nicholas. How are we doing, lads? Are we doing all right on this? What are we? Wednesday? Tuesday? What day are we on?
Tuesday.
I wish it was Wednesday.
Tuesday evening. How are we doing?
Yeah, I don't like the fact you used my Sunday name, but I'll let that slide as you're hosting today. So.
Yeah. The transfer window is closed, sadly. We're in February and United signed a grand total of nobody, which we kind of all expected. Kind of didn't really expect anybody to sort of come in.
Did anyone sign anyone at
all? Did Forest sign somebody? I'm sure.
Forest always signs somebody.
Forest signed everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. Chelsea didn't sign anyone. That's the most shocking part.
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought I was guaranteed Chelsea were going to sign, but apparently not.
I'm sure I've seen that. Like this January has been the lowest spending in January. Yeah.
Oh, it's been fucking quiet.
FFP,
whistle, mate.
FFP kicking in, man. It's taking down. City signed someone as well, didn't they? This week from their own club, from a club that they own, from a club that they own. So make of it what you will. Yeah, but we're unhappy with the lack of sort of transfer activity, lack of transfer talks. So we're going to talk about sensible transfers this summer and who United could bring in for decent money. We're not talking about superstar signings. We're not talking about Jadon Sancho's and that kind of stuff. We're thinking sensible signings for a decent price who fit the idea that Ten Hag wants to play and who actually want to come to the club as well. Right attitude, right mentality, that kind of stuff. But before we do that, there's a bit of, not really breaking news, but a little bit of interesting news.
Breaking news to me.
Well, to Nick, because he had no idea about it. There's been some stadium news come out. The Telegraph, James Ducker. I'll just read out the parts of the article and we'll get your thoughts on it. Sources close to Sir Jim Radcliffe feel United need an absolute state-of-the-art knockout of the park wow stadium. That's a lot of descriptions there. We feel there's a strong argument for the country having a top-class major venue in the north, a Wembley of the north. Aaron's already pointed out that he doesn't like that phrase, but
the money they're paying this fucking PR, Jesus Christ.
Sources close to Jim Radcliffe, we think the fans would be quite happy to accept a brand new stadium if we stay where we are. So I'll get into that point in a minute. It is estimated that expanding the current Old Trafford could cost at least 800 million and potentially more, while a new ground could be in the region of 1.5 to 2 billion. So I know we're talking billions and millions there, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much more to build a new stadium. Firstly, lads, I sent that photo to you, Nick. Let me see if I can get it up on screen, actually. So the idea is there's a bunch of land by Manchester United outside the stadium. If you've never been to Old Trafford, the stadium's situated and there's like a car park at the rear of it, and there's a couple of bits of like roads and sort of other stuff that we're not using and we're not doing anything with, and we own that land. Manchester United own that land, so the idea would be to build it on that area. So I'm just going to put it up on screen.
Whilst you're doing that, those words that you use, that's like, you know, when you're on the way home from football when you're younger, you're a kid or whatever, and your mum goes, you can't have a Mackey's, but you can have your tea that's at home, and it's like, what is it? Is it nice? It's like, it's out at the park stadium knocking, wow.
It's bollocks.
Absolute great, bollocks. Yeah. And it tastes like shit.
Right, so if you have a look on the screen here, so obviously we've got stadium here, and then there's the Bridgewater Canal going down the side, and then you got some Matt Busby statue with the Trinity and all that at the front, and then the railway line in the south stand on the left-hand side. And then that big red area is where they plan to build that stadium. So the idea would be that we still continue to use Old Trafford as we go along while this stadium is being built. And then once it's built, we then shift over into that stadium. What happens with Old Trafford, I don't know. There's been a couple of things about maybe the women's team and the youth system using it as a setup, as a training base for games. Maybe that's the thing. So first of all, lads, before we get into the other options, what could potentially happen to the stadium, are you in favour of knocking the stadium down, or are you in favour of redeveloping Old Trafford? Which one? Nick, go to you first.
Me first. You know what? I've always been of the opinion that I wouldn't want to knock the stadium down because there's been way too many fucking memories in there that you cherish. But I'm also of the opinion, because like both of you lads have been to the stadium, it's not a great experience. Apart from the atmosphere, a lot, like the atmosphere is incredible at times, and the Stretford End's amazing. That's like, I love going in there. But the actual, when you go in there, the experience is just, it's not great. Like, the food's not great. The fucking toilets are blocked with piss. The paninis have got no cheese. Like, there's no signal. It's just not, you're cramped in. It's not a great experience. Anyone who's been in Old Trafford will tell you that. So the idea is kind of growing on me, because when you look at like Tottenham Stadium, I mean, they've got pints that pour themselves. That is just like a big seller for me straight away. Just top of the range stuff. We're in 2024 now. Do you know what I mean? So Old Trafford actually fits the name because it looks old and it feels old when you're inside it. So if you want to kind of develop a new Trafford, I'm starting to open up to that idea now, but it just depends. There's a lot of things riding on it, how they're going to go about it, you know, what they're going to do. You mentioned the transition where they'll keep playing in Old Trafford whilst they're building that stadium there. That's much better as well. It makes it easier because we don't want to be playing at fucking City Stadium or Everton Stadium or anything like that, do we? Because let's be honest, we'll be selling their tickets out. And I think commercially as well, sorry to rant on, but commercially, Old Trafford make about 4 million quid on a match day. So it'd be much better if they could stay at Old Trafford whilst transitioning into there. So I'd be more open to that idea, I think.
So the other option, before we get your thoughts, Aaron, the other option would be on that where the railway line is, that stand there is only one tier. So the other option is they build another tier on top of that and turn it into like 90,000 plus seat stadium. That's the idea. But the stadium is, I think it's 120 years old. I think the stadium, the actual building itself. I know there's been additions over the years and stuff like that, but the actual building itself is 120 years old. So it would need a lot of modernisation. Nick's talked about the leaks, the toilets, the food, everything. Like, seats are just cramped and uncomfortable. Concrete blocks are falling on people's heads and shit. Like, it's just a fucking terrible stadium.
And that's Tom Maguire.
Yeah. So the other option would be that above the railway line. But logistically, it's a bit of a nightmare because it is over a railway line, so you'd have to build it out, and then it's really tricky. So, yeah, Aaron, what would your preference be?
Well, I was kind of the same sentiment as Nick probably a few years ago, that, you know, Old Trafford should stay and it should be rejuvenated, really. But the more I think about it, I feel like United as a whole needs a new lift. It needs something new. Like, we've been stuck in the mud for like so many years now. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think you've got to find that balance, because I know obviously a lot of West Ham fans, when they went to the London Stadium, it took them years to like take to that stadium. The atmosphere always felt like it wasn't the same. But I feel like we've got, no disrespect to West Ham, but I feel like we've already got a big stadium, as in like in terms of capacity. I don't think we'd struggle, or like the atmosphere would waver with more people. If anything,
the waiting list is like 2 years long, isn't it? Like, it's 2 years to get a thing, so you feel like that.
Yeah,
easy. 150
stadiums probably sold out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I kind of like that it's in the same location, that it's not, you know, like down the road. Or,
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
I'd probably feel a bit different if we were moving, say, like 10-15 minutes down the road. But yeah, man, if it's going to improve the squad and improve, obviously, we can bring in more revenue. Like Tottenham have NFL games now, they have concerts, so does City. Like, we're behind on that as well.
Just the most embarrassing thing as well, Aaron, I don't know if you were going to mention it, the Euros. That was the fucking
we
big
get
one,
left out of stuff like that now.
Like, Old Trafford not hosting a Euros game. Fucking what?
Well, think you wanted to do it.
Go on.
Who's the boxer who's just won?
Fury.
Yeah, he wanted to. He's a United fan, isn't he? He wanted to hold a fight in Old Trafford, and they said safety and like concerns and stuff like they can't do it. Like, it's just not up to code and fit for purpose. And he's like, can you imagine like Tyson Fury fighting there, or Tom Aspinall?
Fury and Joshua.
Yeah, Tom Aspinall as well.
Aspinall as well.
He's a Manchester lad, so it's just like you could have those fights, and no, just can't do it.
Yeah, I just think like there's another thing that we're behind on. So I'm not against it. I think it could be beneficial. It's a gym and that, and you could start using that revenue for concerts and that. I mean, start clearing the debt, start doing something with it. But yeah, I'm still skeptical that they'll do that. Part of me thinks that they'll probably just obviously improve Old Trafford, but I would be open to a new stadium.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, they're just in the sort of early stages of it right now. Is it Populous? I think the architectural company is that they've hired to sort of have a look at this. And then me and Nick have discussed this before, but obviously they're going to pick the most expensive option, aren't they? Which is build a new stadium because they get more of that.
You should probably build a new one.
There you go.
Oh, would you? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know when a builder comes round and he goes, it's going to be expensive. It's like, oh, is it now? Yeah. Is it now?
Yeah.
So,
you've done in your fucking quadruple pipe, mate. You need that fixing.
Yeah, so there you go. But yeah, just a little bit of interesting sort of tidbit of the thing. Also, the Munich disaster memorial happened today as well at Old Trafford. Really sort of impeccably observed by people. I don't know how many people watching the channel went, but yeah, it seemed to be really impeccably observed. Eric Ten Hag was there, Dave Brailsford, Jim Radcliffe, Bruno was there, Matt Skinner, the women's manager, were all there. Fergie was there as well. So yeah, it was really nice to see, and obviously thoughts and hearts go out to everybody, family members who are still affected. Obviously, we lost Sir Bobby this year as well, which was was it last year or was it this year? Is it late last year?
Late last year, wasn't it?
Late last year.
Yeah, I think it was.
So yeah, he was a sort of like stalwart of like that Munich team, the Busby Babes and stuff like that. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. I didn't want to sort of go past without mentioning that. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk transfers, shall we? So the idea of today is sensible transfers. We want to get in 3 players. You're going to pick 3 players each in the centre back, in the midfield, and I've kind of left it up to you because I was originally going to say right wing, but Garnacho's kind of slid into that position and made it his own, really, and seems to be doing really, really well. So I've kind of left it open to you, right wing or striker. You can pick whatever one you want to do. So I've left that to you guys. I'm going to pick it, and they're going to explain why. They're going to say price point, because we don't want to be spending absolute ridiculous amounts of money due to FFP, due to sort of financial constraints that we may have, and also just because we need to do something differently. We've been spending and nothing's changed. So we need to do something differently, and hopefully within Yoss that's going to happen. So yeah, we're going to pick centre back, we're going to pick a midfielder, and we're going to pick a right winger or a striker, and then they're going to tell us how they see them fitting into the team, price point, all that good stuff. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I don't mind.
Do you want to give us your centre back first? We'll save striker and winger for last. Let's give you centre back.
It's weird that because I'm in centre back first as well. But yeah, before we get into any kind of transfer logically, I think it's just straight off the bat the reasons why I've gone with these is because I think Ineos are going to go a different way to the way we usually deal in the market. I'm not going to call it a transfer strategy because we never had a transfer strategy. No. It was all reactionary, wasn't it? So I think Ineos are going to go for the kind of recruit British talent. I think they're going to kind of look in the French market as well with all the connections there. You've got Jean-Claude. I know Jean-Claude Blanc isn't involved in direct transfers, but I'm just saying there's a lot of influence coming over from there. So I think they'll be looking in that league, and they're not going to spend nowhere near as much as we have been doing. So keep that in mind when I go through my transfers, at least. So for centre-back, I've gone Jared Braithwaite. Right now, my usual answer would be Todibo, and I'm chopping and shit. I still like Todibo, but having watched Braithwaite in the Premier League, the more I see him, the more I like him. Yeah. He's homegrown talent, 21 years old, multiple loan spells. I think he was at Blackburn and PSV, like really well-rounded his game, gone to different leagues and kind of adapted his craft. In terms of ball-playing ability, he's comfortable on the ball. Not as good as Lissandro, when you have the kind of line-breaking passes and stuff like that. But he's comfortable enough to have him in a side where you've got kind of possession. It's his defensive game that's really, really good. Anyone who's watched Braithwaite for Everton this season is colossal. He's an absolute unit. And all his metrics from clearances, aerial duels, won tackles, interceptions, anything like that is in the top percentile for that. And the kid's 21 years old, man, and he's a fucking unit and he's quick. So if I'm looking at anyone, I'm looking at the situation with Everton. Obviously, they're going for all their kind of FFP things. For them to sell a homegrown talent in terms of profit and sustainability would be absolutely massive for him. And I think the next step up for him now, which makes sense, would be someone like a Manchester United. And we're trying to go away from the obvious signings, the centre-back signings. So why not go for someone like this? I think he looks fucking really, really good. So
I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think the one issue that you might have with Branthwaite, and I think you know what I'm going to say, how much is he going to cost? So I know if they
need the money though.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but like you say he's British, he's from a Premier League team, and he's selling to us. That normally adds about 30-40 million to the price tag, doesn't it? When it comes to United,
6'4" as well, by the way, fucking massive.
Yeah, so that always adds to the price tag. But obviously, like you said, they're going for FFP sort of constraints in a minute, and then they might have another deduction coming if this second case comes through. So if they get relegated, then yeah, you might be quids in there and you'd be able to pick him up for a cheaper price. But yeah, the issue I would worry about is the price point. I think he could cost a lot of fucking money. I think he's a great player, but yeah, I think he could cost a lot of money. Aaron, I don't know if you wanted to say anything on Branthwaite either.
That was my pick.
Okay.
So I'll just elaborate a few more points. Obviously, it's 6'4", 6'5". He's, like Nick said, he's not slow. Do you know what I'm most impressed with? Like you say, he's colossal and that. It's his reading of the game. Like when he steps up, he'll step out and he'll intercept. He's not as aggressive as Lissandro, and I feel like that. Like we have Varane and Lissandro now, and they kind of play off each other. Where Varane's more the Rolls Royce, and then Lissandro's the fucking impact player. I feel like Branthwaite can obviously step into that Lissandro mold. The Varane mold. He's young. And I know what we say about English and Prem proven, but I feel like the English players kind of or should get what it means to play for United. Yeah. He would have grown up like when he was around 10 and that we still would have been successful. Yeah. Like, he would have got the back end of United being successful. Obviously, he don't live too far from the area, so it probably will have connections in Manchester. I'm probably guessing. And he could be a future England captain, which captain United, like not putting him under the Maguire umbrella, but I agree with Nick. I feel like he has all the attributes to be a successful, like a Rio Ferdinand type player for United.
It's a Fergie signing, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Fergie would definitely sign someone like him.
I honestly think we could get him for about 40 million, 45 million. I don't think with what Everton are facing, obviously they've already had the point deduction, they're facing another one, and Mashiri has got that club in a mess. Like I don't know if you've listened to Lampard on the newest overlap. I'm not really a fan of Lampard in himself, but what he's talking about, like he wanted signings, he didn't give it him, and apparently Bill Kenwright was having to talk Mashiri off a cliff half the time in making stupid decisions. And their Everton spend, when you look at what they've spent in the past, whatever, it's not far off like United, City. It's up there, and they've got nothing. So didn't they spend like 40-50 million on Iwobi?
Yeah.
I think they spent like 50 million on Sigurdsson. Yeah. Remember him from Swansea?
Yeah.
So I think Everton. I didn't want to.
Everyone was thinking it, but no one wanted to say it.
But I honestly think 40-45 million, we'd get him easily.
I agree.
That's how much his bail is.
I think he'd be a great talent. I from what I've seen from him, I like him a lot, and there seems to be a lot of links to him as well. Like we seem to be linking a lot in the papers and journalists and stuff like that. So it's definitely, I think, he's going to be an interesting option to watch. The Todibo talks have kind of gone quiet as well. Like I've not heard much about Todibo, so maybe
I don't know enough about him to say that I want him at United.
I like him. I think he's really, really good.
But yeah, let's move on to midfield. So since Nick took your pick, Aaron, why don't you go first with your midfield one?
Best out of my pick now.
Nah, I don't think we'll have the same one. I've gone a bit like outside the box here.
Okay.
So have I a little bit.
Oh no!
Here we go.
He's not French, is he?
No.
Okay. Right,
I've gone for someone from Real Sociedad, Zubimendi. I don't know if you know anything about him.
Yeah, good pick.
But what a player! What a player! He's being linked at the minute with Arsenal for 50 million, which I don't think is a ridiculous price tag. I think it's like in today's market for the player that you're going to get. I mean, Rodri, looking Busquets, eat your heart out, man. He's like the next mold of that. I've seen him a few times. Like we played against him in the Europa League, and he played. And so, like usually when I find a player, I'll kind of delve into him a bit on YouTube. And I love centre midfielders. They're like the position that I like to watch. And I've watched, obviously, like reports on this guy, and he's just like Busquets 2.0. Like he seems to always find space. What's something we struggle with playing out from the back. We'll play it around the centre backs, and if Casemiro doesn't drop in, we're kind of like at a loss. He'd be perfect for that. Casemiro's obviously aging, and when I was thinking about it before, when I was thinking about who I'm picking, I thought about imagine Zubimendi and Mainu next to each other, anchoring that midfield on the pivot.
Composure.
That's what I mean, the composure. And it would just allow Bruno to drift, to play wherever he wants, really.
Also gives you an option as well, like, because you think about our squad depth in that midfield, beyond Kobe and Mainu and Bruno, it's kind of lacking in it. Like, Ericsson, whose legs fall off, and then Scott McTominay. It's kind of it, isn't it? Like, it's not like City, who've got people who can pull off the bench who are like absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's a very lacking in depth bench, and adding someone the caliber of Zubimendi to that definitely upgrades it.
Well, I mean, I feel like we could bring Zubimendi, and I think we'd need another midfielder. And I don't know if I want to segue into Knicks now, but
maybe save the name. Maybe save the name. Save the name, and then we'll get to Knicks, and then we'll go back to yours, and we'll have that. But yeah, Nick, what are your thoughts on Zubimendi? Have you seen him? Do you know much about him?
Yeah, the only thing is, I don't know what it is about the Spanish league. I'm always concerned when a player comes over from the Spanish league, and that's literally the only thing to say about him. The bits I've seen, he looks fucking top class, and I absolutely agree with. If he was alongside Kobe Mainu, there ain't no one getting near them players because they're just way too fucking smooth. So I'm a massive fan from what I've seen, but just I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I feel like Spanish midfielders though. The Prem's kind of hits a sweet spot.
Rodri's hit a sweet spot. Fabregas, David Silva,
they're the three that I just thought of then.
Yeah. I get that. The Spanish league sometimes it's like German league as well. It's very hit and miss. For
definitely.
me. But yeah, I like him as a player.
Yeah, let's go on to yours then, Nick. You give us your pick for the midfield position.
So again, look, everyone knows my love for De Jong, but we're doing realistic and sensible transfers.
I thought you were gonna force it anyway. I thought you were just gonna go.
I can't.
It's happening this year.
Sensible transfers. So I've gone with Kefren Turam at Nice. And do you know what? I've seen bits of him, but just specific for this, I did a bit more of a deep dive and watched him. Do you know what he reminds me of? Do you remember Dembele at Tottenham?
Yes.
Oh, mate, he was unreal.
What's the word I'm looking for? Criminally underrated Dembele. He was a serious talent.
Serious.
And he reminds me of it. He's like, he can play as an 8, he can drop deep, so he can do both roles. Right-footed. He's another big boy. I think he's like 6'4", but loves that left-hand sided channel. Very, very comfortable there. Got a nice change of direction. A lot of strength about him. A lot of pace about him. Good dribbling. Passing range isn't amazing, but he'll be that ball carrier for you. He'll get it into the final third, and he'll attract numbers, and the gaps will open up. He's that kind of player. Like, for me, he looks decent, and he reminds me a little bit of Pogba, but a quicker version. And I know that'll send.
Don't say that.
I know that'll send shivers down your spine. I literally put it. I know it'll send shivers down your spine because as soon as you mention the name Pogba, but he's got a better temperament than that. He's not as much as a show off. Like, he gets to the point, and that's what I like about him. Strength to protect the ball. Can hold off pressure, can play a ball in behind, and his contract runs out in 2025, right? He plays for Nice. You could probably get him for around 35, 40 million quid.
Good deal.
So the deal looks really, really good, and he's 22 years old. So that is what I call a sensible transfer.
That is spot on, a sensible transfer. I gotta say, like, I haven't seen much of him, if I'm honest with you. Was he linked with Liverpool last season? Yeah. So I've heard the name, but I'll have to go look into him because from what you say, it sounds really interesting. And there's been another story out on the sort of Twitter today that United are looking at players in the last year of contract as well. Mm-hmm. So this guy,
like Kimmich and
so he could basically fits into the mold right there, and the Nice connection just makes it so much easier to sort of happen. So it's a really good option. I don't know if you had anything to say about him, Aaron, or if he was your French midfielder that you wanted to mention.
My French midfielder's got a problematic mother.
No. It's not Rabiot, is it?
Yeah. on a free transfer, I don't think that's bad business for United. He's having another good season at Juve. What I've seen of him in like the last international tournament, I feel like on the left hand side of midfield, that's where we need to strengthen it. I think he'd be perfect for that because where Eriksen kind of was playing last season, he'd bring more legs definitely, and I feel like bar his passing, I think he's more of a goal threat. And I just think for a free transfer, that's why I'm saying alongside another midfield. I don't think he can be our only midfield signing. But if we bring like a more defensive, and then him as an 8, I think that'd be perfect.
Everybody else, if you can as well. Sorry, Sam, just before you think, get yours in sensible transfers. Give us 3 and your reasons why.
What would his wage demands be though? Is he gonna be asking for a shit? Because that was what was tripped us last time, wasn't they? Like his mum was demanding a lot of money, so I'm just worried about us sort of breaking the wage.
I don't know where else he goes, where he gets big money now, because obviously he's been at Juve, he's not signing a new contract there. He's been at PSG. He's not going to go to Real Madrid. He's not going to go to Barcelona, I don't think.
I won't put it past Barca.
I was going to say they'll work something out.
They'll fucking do 5-a-sides on new camp.
But yeah, it's another option. Like if you're that's the kind of sort of shrewd sort of move that we should be pulling off like more regularly, rather than going for the off-year signings of like the Jadon Sanchos and Aaron Wan-Bissakas. Like shrewd moves where guys out of contract, he's a decent age, he's a decent profile, and he's a good player, and he's not going to demand to be the main man and the star of the squad. He's happy to play a squad role. I think that's what we need to be doing. Eriksen was an example of that. I think that's another example of like a shrewd move. So yeah, I think we need a couple of options in midfield, and it'll be interesting to see how the rebuild goes in the summer and how many players we bring in, because I think this might be a massive, massive summer for United, but we'll see what happens. Right, let's get on to the last one. Last one, striker, right winger. Touched on the Garnacho things. I left it open a bit there. Nick, who have you gone with?
I've gone with a striker. I definitely think this, and this was the most difficult one, right?
Yes.
Because I don't think there's a perfect candidate out there at the moment. Whichever way you go, it's going to take something away. If you go for an experienced and expensive, you're kind of going away from what what we've been buying recently. Your Lukaku's or whatever you want to talk about. But then if you go for a young one, would that suit the dynamic of where do you have enough leadership around him? So it's dead hard to go into it. So I just went with a player that I really, really like. I don't want to stunt Rasmus's growth, because I think Rasmus will grow up and be a top striker. I think it genuinely believe that. I think he's got the right temperament, the right ability, and he will be very, very good.
He's showing it.
He's showing it now.
Yeah.
Top. I think that 65 million quid will look back at that in 5 years' time like money well spent, just in my opinion. But I want another striker there to compete with him, to push him even more to get to that play. City, you've got Alvarez and fucking Haaland. Liverpool have got Jota and Nunes. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you can't have two top. We've always had it. Rooney, fucking Ronaldo, Tevez. Go back to the 90s. Dwight York. We've always had that kind of caliber in and around there. So I want another top talented player, not necessarily experienced, but I've gone with Sesko. And I just want 2 9s breaking the necks for that number 9 spot. Every time I've watched Sesko, whether it's for his international team, when he was at Leipzig, when he was at Salzburg, I like what I see. And I think he has that kind of is it je ne sais quoi, what to say about it? He just has that something about him. When I watch him, you feel like something from him. And I think he's got the right kind of attitude to deal with Manchester United as well. So I would go. I know he moved to Leipzig for like 30-odd million, I think it was. So maybe a little bit on the pricey side. But again, he's like 20, 21, dubbed to be a next top striker in Europe. You're going to save money. Madrid have gone down that model of young players, haven't they? You've seen all the ones that how much money they just fucking spent on their team. So why can't we do the same? We generate enough kind of revenue. So why not?
I think Barca are trying to do a similar thing, although they keep swaying away from it occasionally. Like they've had the likes of like Gavi and Pedri come through and develop young players, but then they've just gone out and sort of splash cash on like Rafinha and Lewandowski and stuff, and it's
did that Aubameyang go there? Do you remember?
Yeah, like just weird decisions. So yeah, I think I like Sesko a lot. Of when we were linked with him like a couple of seasons ago, I really liked what I saw, and I think he'd be a fantastic striker. Again, though, I'd be Leipzig gonna have us over a barrel with the price point, because they've seen how much we're willing to pay for Rasmus Højlund. This guy, I think, maybe is a little bit ahead in terms of development over Højlund.
I'd probably say
I'd
probably similar level. So you're probably going to command a 60 million quid fee at least. But then again, it's thinking how much you're going to save, because you go buy a 30-year-old striker now for 40 million. And, 3 years' time, you're going to be fucking spending that again without a resale.
I'd love to see Sesko come to the team. I think he's phenomenally good. And he's another unit as well. Big fucking lad.
Rapid, powerhouse.
Yeah, I think he would be an excellent signing. But yeah, the price point is the only thing that would worry me. But like you said, if you've got investing in a 21-year-old for the next 10 years, then maybe it's not too bad. Like, we invested, was it a world record fee for Rooney when we bought him?
Yeah, 30 million quid, wasn't it? That's 32.
Do you know what I mean? Like, with inflation and like interest, that's probably around 50, 60 million nowadays. So it is what it is. But yeah, Aaron, who have you gone for?
I've gone the other end of the scale. I've gone for experience.
Dybala.
Yeah, took the words down well. I think I said it on another show, but I just feel like he's probably, for the price that we're going to get him for, 11, 12 million, I think he's got a release clause for.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of a misconception that he's over the hill just because now he's playing for Roma, and obviously he's not in the spotlight of Juventus, but he's had 2 really good seasons for Roma. Last season, he was a big part in Tammy Abraham, obviously scoring the amount of goals he did. I think he's on track again to score good numbers with goals and assists. I feel like it's his versatility that's going to benefit us more than the actual goal presence or his assist numbers. I feel like we have a lot of underperformers at United. Rashford being one, the right hand side being a struggle. Sometimes Bruno's not with it. Højlund can't put it. I don't know. Sometimes he needs a break or he needs to be brought out. I still feel like for him to play every game and be relied on every game at a young age, we've all said it. It's a big ask, and what he's doing this season is obviously he's starting to find some momentum now in hit form. But I feel like Dybala brings in that versatility. He can play up front. He can play like a second striker. He can play a number 10. He can play on the left hand side.
What's his contract situation at the minute? Do you know?
No, I don't know. I don't think he's a free agent. I don't think he's a free agent this summer.
Okay, carry on. I'll check his contract.
But for the release clause, which I think is 11, 12 million for a club outside Serie A, and then I think it's like 20 million maybe for a Serie A team. I think it's a steal. It's just his link-up play as well. He'll come off Rasmus quite a lot. He'll play off him. He'll let him run off him. I think Rashford would benefit from that. And like I say, he can play up front as well. I don't think he'll give you 20 goals. I think he'll maybe give you 12 goals, but he might give you 10 assists as well. So obviously he's contributing a lot more. He's played in a big team. He's played for a big national team. He's been around big players, experienced players. I just feel like we need them sort of players now. I feel like we've got a good young core when you go through the team. I feel like we've got more youth than experience, and I feel like that lets us down in some games, where we'll go a goal up or we'll go 2 goals up. We don't have them players just to calm the nerves and say, right, we'll see this one out. We struggle from that a lot. And obviously, I feel like this is another player alongside maybe some sort of Rabiot signings or depth players that have been around the league. Them sort of. Not everyone can be a young Hollywood signing that's coming up, or can be your star player. And I don't think Dybala would start every week. I'm not wanting him to start every week. I feel like just dovetailing with Rasmus and just work that out. And yeah, man, I think for 12 million we'd be stupid not to go for him.
Even his stats this season, Sam, just before we think there. So 16 games, 8 goals, 6 assists this season.
That's what he produces.
Yeah, last season, not bad stats as well. 12 goals, 7 assists. He's done this consistently throughout his career.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's a consistent performer. I don't think any of us doubt his ability and the sort of numbers he puts up. The only thing I think you're spot on. I think we need in the team a mix of experiencing youth players, and obviously we're going to go down that youth aspect a lot more in terms of sort of targets we've sort of been linked with, and then the ones we've signed as well recently in Hoyland. And I think if he's going to come in and he's just going to be part of the squad, and he's happy to be part of the squad, and he's happy to be rotated in and out, I think 11 million, why not? See what happens. I think the problem is when you spend an absolute shit ton, either in wages or on the fee, on a player who's already past his prime, who isn't putting the numbers up, but they're a star name, and you bring them in and hope something happens. But I think with Dybala, he's probably not a massive star in that sort of terms, but he's good enough that I think, like you said, rotation option on the bench, someone to bring off or someone to use in a cup game, or if you want to change tactically up, I think he would be a useful signing. But yeah, again, I don't know about his wage demands. I don't know how much he's on at Roma. I don't know how much he
I can't imagine him being on huge at Roma, because I know they've got financial troubles themselves. I don't know the amount that he's on, but
one thing I will say as well about his injuries this season are a little bit concerning. Yeah. So just having a look there, and I know he's had problems in the past, but for Roma this season, he's missed 70 days with injury through that. He had hamstring, thigh, collateral ligament like Lissandro's got, and adductor as well.
Yeah, he has. I think he had a few injuries last season. But I'm not wanting to be the focal point. That's obviously going to be Hoyland. He's going to be the man that's going to take that on his back. But someone that we can rotate, bring him on for like 40 minutes in the game or something like that, or against a smaller team where we can afford to, where it's like say we've got a Sunday game and a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Hoyland's had problems with his back, etc. And they might.
And he plays all over the park. Dybala, innit? He's literally playing on the right, left, 10, striker. Exactly. Everywhere, so utility player would be fucking perfect.
I like it. I like it. It'd be interesting to see what we do in the summer, because, like Nick said, we're going to approach things very, very differently. And I think as much as I like sort of young, exciting signings and unearthing gems that nobody else knows about it, I think when you want a title challenge and you want to push for trophies, you do have to have that experienced side. Like, you look at a team like Brighton and, play great football, really enjoyable, and they find these gems all over the park. But they're not winning anything. They're not winning trophies. They're not pushing to get to that next level. I know they've brought in experience, the likes of Danny Welbeck and James Miller, but these guys are like right at the tail end of their careers. And while they can offer something, they're not sort of the caliber thing. So I think Aaron is spot on. But yeah, Nick, if you were only pick one of your signings to come in, who would you go with?
As in who I'd want, or what's the most realistic out of the three?
No, who do you think would be have the sort of biggest impact if they were to come into the team in the summertime?
Braithwaite.
Would you put him straight next to Lissandro? Straight 100%. Away.
Varane, you know the issues with Varane. I love him, but we all know the issues there. Maguire, I think you could probably, it's now or never. If
it's a sellable asset, isn't it? It's a sellable asset.
Yeah, you can get money for him. And Lindelof, I think, is happy being a third option, and I'm happy to keep Lindelof there as a third option. So he would come right in.
You got Cam Waller as well on the bench as well. Like, he's in and about and around it. Johnny Evans probably won't be here after this season, I imagine. So yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me if he gets like a 5-year contract or something.
New signing.
Joe Glazer absolutely loves Johnny Evans. Wants to keep all the.
In fairness, though, if we are fair, he's
been good.
Look, people might call me thick or whatever, but he's been one of United's best signings this season.
He's been decent.
I think he's done more and played more than I ever expected him to. I thought he would get a few cup appearances.
Yeah.
That assist against Burnley alone is justified giving him a 1-year deal.
Yeah. No, he's been all right. Aaron, same question. Who would you bring in if you had to pick one?
Probably Zubimendi. Just to be different from Nick. I feel like the midfield is something that's been needed addressing for ages, but people need to make way. Like Nick mentioned, Maguire for Braithwaite. I think
McTominay.
Obviously, like McTominay. Yeah, Eriksen can probably go now.
Yeah. Can I just say, Aaron? You remind me of Ericsson, you know. I have no. I think it might be the beard. I don't know. Every time I see Ericsson come on the pitch, I think it just looks like a. I was gonna say skinny Aaron then, but that sounds so bad. Like a scrawny Aaron. A scrawny Aaron, let's say. That's what I was going to say.
So Real Reds is made up of two of Manchester United's midfielders. We've got Casemiro and we've got Aaron Eriksson as well on the.
I think I'm quicker than Ericsson though.
Oh, for sure. Anyone's quicker than Ericsson, let's be honest.
Watching him is.
I'm fucking a plug, mate.
Watching him is like painful when he has to. He's like a ball goes in behind and he's running on the end of it. Like,
Who was it? Who was that Gates when it went in behind and he was like,
I was just like, please no.
And it was on in the 5th minute.
Yeah. He was like, oh no, anyone else? And he's comfortable, but because it's Ericsson.
Like... when he plays against City and they're just absolutely ragging him across the pitch.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, poor man.
I wonder who would win in a sprint, Maguire or Ericsson?
I think Maguire beats him. I think Maguire genuinely beats him.
I don't know.
Probably, I think so. Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, we're going off topic here with sprinting stats of United players. Cheers, lads, for coming on. And let us know in the comments who you would pick, your 3 signings you bring in. Sensible.
I think there's some in there if you want to read them out before we head off.
Let's have a gander. Let's have a look. Kimmich, 1 year left. Good signing. How old's Kimmich now?
He's similar to Casemiro. That's why I saw that with Kimmich. But
that'd be mega wages as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that, but great player. But True Cushman, Braithwaite, Onana, and Royce. Onana, I like in the midfield of the Everton thing, but I don't know if Everton will let you have 2 players out there.
That's the only reason why I didn't go with Onana. Yeah. I like Onana. I was like, nah, Everton fans are going to fucking hate us if we take both of them.
Like, I don't think they'll let you have both.
Alex
Royce,
will never come on again.
Is Royce out of contract as well?
Listen, I was going on about Dybala's record, injury record.
I know, he's got
you want to look at Royce's?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. He's been out for like years, hasn't he, as well?
He's just like out for like 5
seasons.
Yeah.
It's never a couple weeks.
No, it's never ending either. He's just since the start of his career, he's just had like 5 months off.
Like Phil Jones of the Bundesliga, isn't he? He's just out just consistently. But put yours in the comments, put them in on our social as well. Maybe we'll put them up on the social between the 2 lads and you can pick which one you want. We'll do something like that. Lads, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure.
I'm sure there'll be a show tomorrow. We'll definitely see you tomorrow. We've obviously got Villa on Sunday. Is it Sunday?
Yeah, so preview Friday.
Preview on Friday for Villa. And then just keep an eye on all the socials there. That side. Have a look there. Go follow us on all the socials. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the good stuff. It's not even called Twitter anymore. I keep calling it Twitter, but it's not Twitter, is it?
I don't feel right calling it.
No.
I don't feel right calling it X. Elon Musk.
Go follow us on there, and then go have a look at the previous videos. We did a video on Leacher yesterday with his injury update, and Nick's pros and cons as well from the fantastic West Ham game. So go check them out, lads. We shall see you all tomorrow. Do you want to wave goodbye to the people?
I'm going to do this because it's Sam's put a capybara in the chat, so.
Okay.
Capybara, 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 capybara. Capybara.
Capybara, 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 capybara.
Peace out.